service. Now I'll give you my backhand. My winner whizzes down the line. Betting weekly tennis live. Are you ready for it? Here we go.
Welcome to Betting Weekly Tennis Live in association with Bet Rivers. I'm Rory Jawani. With me is Tim Dennis. We've got in-play men's tennis action to bring you from Basel and Vienna. And we'll be looking forward to tomorrow's action in both of those tournaments, plus the WTA events in Tokyo and Guangzhou. Tim, how are you doing this afternoon?
Hey, Rory.
Evening.
Evening here. Yeah, bit of afternoon in the States. But yeah, all good. Thank you. Yeah, I must congratulate you on your very impressive winner early on the women's tour today. That was a cracking shout with the left-hand angle.
Yeah, Wakana Sonobe beating Nicola Bartunkova. That was it was a strange one because I thought Sonobe was overpriced initially. But then I looked at Bartunkova's record against left-handers, and it's far, far worse than her career record generally. So I thought there was an angle. It didn't start brilliantly because I think Bartunkova broke early. I think, she led 2-love early, but then Sonobe came back to win the first set 6-4. And then she raced out into the lead in the second set and held it. So, yeah, won in straight sets. That was a nice winner at plus 205. Onwards and upwards. We're actually going to start with that tournament. We're going to look at the outright odds for that WTA 500 tournament in Tokyo, saying the home favourite Wakana Sonobe winning there. And you can see her bottom right of the screen there. She's $50 outright. Wouldn't expect her to be challenging. Jelena Rybakina, who needs to win 2 matches in Tokyo. She needs to reach the semi-finals if she is to qualify for the season ender, the WTA finals in Riyadh. She's plus 275. Ekaterina Alexandrova plus 550, same price as Karolina Mukova. Linda Noskova plus 650. Belinda Bencic and Deanna Schneider $7. Anna Kalinskaya $13. Eva Lys and Leylah Fernandez, the Canadian, they're both $17. Of course, Fernandez winning in Osaka last weekend, and she plays Jelena Rybakina on Thursday. That should be an interesting clash because Fernandez has a 2-1 head-to-head advantage over Rybakina. Maya Joint $20 and McCartney Kessler $30s. Jacqueline Christian $33s. $40 bar those. Tim, what do you reckon? Anyone you fancy on that list?
Do you know what? I quite like Noskova, although she's shortened up without hitting the ball yet so far. Obviously, she played a lot of tennis, and obviously she missed last week, which is going to do her, I think, the world of good. But before that, she was playing certainly her best stuff of the year, probably reaching that final there. Before, I think she lost to Anisimova, wasn't it? She lost there too. But yeah, playing some great tennis. She's obviously got McCartney Kessler tomorrow in her first game. But yeah, I mean, obviously Rybakina's got the one it's all to play for her, isn't it? But is she just looking to win a couple of games and then not really fussed? You don't really know. I suppose if you go deep in the tournament, you're clearly going to want to go all the way. Mukova, can she last out a tournament? Is a bit of a question mark, perhaps. And then maybe perhaps Diana Schneider running into a little bit of form. And a nice victory there, and then she's obviously got a tough match tomorrow against Kalinskaya, so that'll be interesting going forward. So yeah, plenty of good matches, and obviously Rybakina, she's the one with the most to play for, isn't she, in this setup?
Absolutely, and I'd certainly take the point about Schneider because she does perform well at this time of year, and she hasn't had the best season so far, but promising signs in her opening win. Let's have a look at the 250 in Guangzhou. We didn't actually look at this one in Betting Weekly WTA on Sunday because the odds hadn't come out. And you can see it's a wide open tournament. Anne Lee and Elisabetta Cocciaretto, the $5 joint favourites. Yulia Putintseva plus 550. Shui Zhang, who's actually my pick for the tournament. Obviously, we didn't get to do official picks because the odds hadn't come out. But Zhang is $6, the home favourite. Ayla Tomljanovic is $9. Katie McNally, $10. Same price as Ella Seidel. Lulu Sun, who reached the quarterfinals at Wimbledon a couple of years back. She's $13. And it's $14 bar those. I mean, this is one of those where if you've got an angle, $5 the field. If you've got an angle, you could do well here. As I said, I've gone for Zhang. Conditions should be reasonably quick and suit her. Plenty of out of form players. Tim, anyone you fancy there?
Yeah, well, perhaps not an angle, but maybe just a point to get across there. I think we noticed it last week, and it's a match we're going to talk about later. Is Camila Osorio against Anne Lee, and Anne Lee is pretty much favourite there with a couple of others to win the tournament. And Osorio, I think she was up at $14 there, but that match isn't that far off a pick'em there tomorrow. So a big disparity in the price there, and probably a little bit bigger than I think it deserves to be. I don't think Osorio deserves to be sort of nearly 3 times the price of Anne Lee when it's virtually a pick'em match there tomorrow. So that's what took my interest there, just looking at that outright market.
Yeah, Mr. Wipeout, thanks for the congratulations early on Sonobe. I don't think I've ever seen an outright market with the top 4 selections so even. It's kind of what happens this time of the year. I seem to recall this time last year a few markets like this. Obviously, end of the season, motivation lacking for some players in indifferent form, especially in these 250s at the end of the year. You do get very open tournaments. I mean, I can remember Sone Cartal winning up in Monastir round this time. Maybe it was in late September or early October. Rebecca Sramkova winning a tournament as well. These 250s, they don't take much winning at this time of year. So, yeah, Osorio is interesting. We are going to be looking at the match a bit later. She was very impressive in her opening win in Guangzhou. Let's have a look at some of the in-play action on the men's side. Of course,
pretty much going to take the first set. Sorry, here against Ben Shelton. He's got 5 set points, so he should be taking that first set any second now.
Yeah, Kamil
and Serendolo's just beat Mickelson.
Yeah, was that a bit of a shock with Mickelson having a good run last week?
I mean, yeah, perhaps Serendolo hasn't been in the best of form, but these sort of conditions might well suit him on an indoor court, and Mickelson maybe just that decent week he had last week maybe just caught up with him, and perhaps Serendolo has turned a corner. He'll certainly be hoping so, because we know what he's capable of on his best form.
Yeah, well, so we'll look at Basel, and as you mentioned, Majchrzak has 5 set points against Ben Shelton. Unsurprisingly, for a match on Ben Shelton on an indoor hard court, it's gone to a tie-break. Shelton's just saved the first of those set points, but Majchrzak leading 6-2 in the tie-break. He's now -455 to win the match. Shelton +325. And the other match, Marcus Giron against Denis Shapovalov, 1 set apiece. On serve in the decider, 2 games apiece. Giron serving at 15 all. He's +145. Shapovalov -182. How much of Basel have you seen? How quick is it playing, Tim?
Yeah, from what I've seen, it's very quick. Plenty of tie breaks, plenty of sort of 7-5 sets as well. And I think it's certainly the quicker of the 2 tournaments. Obviously, we saw a cracking match there with Jakub Mensik last night against the Swiss teenager. He certainly looks a star of the future. A couple of tie breaks in the first 2 sets there, and I think probably the biggest shock there wasn't a tie break in a Riley Opelka match, even though that was played in Basel today. But yes, Sebastian Baez, conditions way too quick for him there. But yes, certainly on the quick side, and I think you're looking at sort of totals, and obviously they're going to be fairly high. But if you're looking at first set overs, and I think there's a few games we're going to talk about tomorrow, sort of games like Diallo and Felix, that sort of screams first set overs to me straight away. So yeah, certainly on the quick side, and Vienna still fairly quick, but yeah, not quite as quick as Basel.
That Swiss teenager is Henri Bernet, or Henri Bernet, I suppose it could be. Just went down to Mensik in the decider, but certainly a player with a bright future. So that's Basel, and just to say, Majchrzak has taken the first set against Ben Shelton, and surprisingly, his odds have gone out. I think I said it was -455. He's now minus 335. So I don't know if there's been a load of cash for Shelton in the last minute or so, but Shelton now plus 245 to come from behind in that one. So that's Basel. Moving on to Vienna, just one match in play there at the moment. Hamad Medjedovic against Lorenzo Musetti. Going with serve in the first set. Medjedovic is serving at 2-3 down. He's plus 310 and Musetti minus 420. And Tim, you're saying Vienna's playing a little bit slower than Basel.
Yeah, I think so. Still on the quicker side, and certainly not slow. But yes, certainly of the two tournaments, it's definitely the slower of the two, with Basel that playing that little bit quicker, I think.
Okay,
should probably suit Musetti in this match here, but yeah, I think Medjedovic, with a good indoor record that he possesses, should give him plenty to think about, I think.
Okay, let's have a look. Actually, before we do, just a reminder, and thank you for your comments so far, and thanks for the congratulations on the tip. Wish it happened a bit more often, but yeah, we want to get your thoughts and comments. We're also on social media at Because We Win. And if you like what you hear on our shows, sign up for the newsletter. Get exclusive tips and the free Insider magazine. Sign up for free at www.bettingweeklystudios.com. Let's get stuck into some of tomorrow's matches. We'll start with Basel, shall we? Shall we start with Basel? Yeah.
Yep, sure, let's do it.
Botic van der Zandschulp against Jiri Lehecka. As you can see, Lehecka quite a strong favourite, minus 295. Van der Zandschulp at plus 225. Lehecka leads the head-to-head 2-0. The last meeting was 3 years ago. We mentioned Riley Opelka. He beat Van der Zandschulp in the qualifiers, but the Dutchman gets through as a lucky loser. Lehecka reached the final in Brussels last weekend, falling to Felix Auger-Aliassime. On paper, you'd think Lehecka would win this fairly comfortably, but Van der Zandschulp in these conditions could be a bit of a handful, perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps. I think they'll probably suit Lehecka as much, if not more, though. He likes a slick, fast court, decent serve, decent +1 forehand. Obviously did well there against, obviously losing to Felix in that final there in a tight final last week. Should be coming here in decent form. And yeah, I mean, sometimes these Botic matches aren't the easiest to bet on because you never know which guy's going to turn up. But Lehecka should be getting rid of him fairly comfortably here. I think these conditions should be suiting him, and obviously he's a heavy minus money shot to do so, Lehecka. But whether there's a little bit of value, and maybe perhaps looking at under games, perhaps looking at Lehecka to try and get rid of him, sort of 7-5, 6-4 here, and that would cash you under. That's probably be the way I'd be looking at going. I think Lehecka should be cleaning him up fairly comfortably.
Seb Korda up against Humbert. Korda minus 132, Humbert plus 107. One previous meeting, which Humbert won, but that was on grass in Halle 4 years ago. Korda fell to Casper Ruud in the Stockholm quarterfinals last week. Humbert also went down to the Norwegian, but that was in the final. Humbert, obviously, big server. It's going to be hard to break. Is plus 107 a little bit tempting, Tim?
Plus 107 on
Humbert.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think so. These conditions should probably suit him a little bit more than Stockholm last week. A little bit slicker here. Should aid that serve as well. And we know he's got a pretty decent record indoors. Korda sort of finding his way back to form after having fitness troubles throughout most of the summer, missing most of it, obviously returning at the US Open, and has played a little bit since with mixed success. A lot of his matches going to 3 sets, which probably won't do him any harm, actually, just building him up towards sort of peak fitness there again. But yeah, I think Humbert should probably be coming through here, and I'm actually surprised he's not a little bit closer in the market to Korda than that. I do see this as pretty much a genuine pick 'em, and if Korda's minus 132, I think you're probably making Humbert a little bit of value there with that sort of decent left-hand serve. Quick conditions, totals 23.5, probably about right. But yeah, plus money Humbert, and obviously in good form, and having made that final last week, I think he's the better bet of the two there for certain.
All Canadian clash to look forward to. Felix Auger-Aliassime, we've mentioned him already, winning in Brussels last weekend, up against Gabriel Diallo. Auger-Aliassime minus 230, Diallo plus 180. Diallo surprisingly fell to James Duckworth in Almaty. Tim, there might not be too many breaks of serve in this one. They haven't met before. I think Felix is a worthy favourite, isn't he?
I think so, just because he's got sort of that decent indoor record, probably better return game than Diallo. But yeah, this sort of game screams totals. I'm just trying to have a look now to look at sort of first set over and see if BetRiver's got a price up for that. I'm sure they do. So I'll just have a quick flick down through the markets now. Total game set one. I mean, it's over 12.5 is plus 195, and if you want to go a little bit safer, 10.5 plus 135, I think that looks fairly solid. I mean, obviously, two decent servers. Felix, even with the decent game he's got, he's still not the world's best return of serve game. So I think first set overs, it screams first set overs to me, this game anyway.
One more match to look forward to in Basel. Taylor Fritz against Valentin Vacherot, of course. The man from Monaco, one of the stories of the season, beating his cousin Arthur Rinderknecht to win in Shanghai. He's the lowest ranked player ever to win a 1,000 tournament. And now he's up to 39 in the world. Fritz has just come back from the Six Kings Slam in Riyadh. Before that, he was an early casualty in Shanghai, falling to Gabriel and Pericard. First meeting, Fritz, heavy favourite, minus 480, Vacherot plus 350. I suppose it's whether Vacherot can prove that his win in Shanghai was no fluke, Tim.
Yeah, a fascinating contest this, isn't it? Mainly because of Vacherot, really, more so than Fritz. So obviously, Rinderknecht is his cousin who he beat in that final. He withdrew today, so he didn't even make the court. So Vacherot obviously coming here. This is his first match since winning that title. So everything's a little bit new to him. Sort of lots more to deal with, I'd imagine. A little bit more press, and obviously got a big first round tie against Taylor Fritz. But Fritz is going to have to get used to conditions, having flying over from Saudi, and other guys played a ton of tennis. So, I mean, I think more of a match to enjoy than to have a strong opinion on. I mean, I think if you really wanted to have a bet, I'd be probably leaning towards sort of overs first set again in these quick conditions. Vacherot, we saw serve pretty well in Shanghai. I think he held 92% of his service games in Shanghai, and conditions here will be even quicker. So we all know about Fritz's service games too. So I think I'll be looking at totals again, but I think more of a match to just be having a very small lean on them than be getting too heavily involved, because we still, obviously he's a 1,000 Masters winner, but we still have a few question marks about Vacherot, don't we? Having seen an amazing week of his life, and can he continue? I hope he can, because he looked a nice guy and with a great attitude, and yeah, here's hoping he can have some more success.
Okay, let's move on to Vienna. 4 matches to look forward to there. An interesting first one, Tomas Machac against Flavio Cobolli. Machac actually leads the head-to-head 3-0, but he retired hurt against the aforementioned Vacherot in Shanghai, whereas Cobolli in Shanghai fell to James Duckworth. Machac is minus 190, Cobolli plus 150. Obviously, these games high, the totals games, this one 22.5. Any view here? I suppose, as is often the case with Machac, it's a question about his fitness. Yeah,
absolutely. And I guess a little bit, you just going to have to take that on trust for what it's worth. I think Cobolli, conditions here, even though this is the slower of the two tournaments, I still think they're going to be a little bit quick for him. And I think Machac, with that decent head-to-head record, he should be, well, depending on his fitness, which you are taking a little on trust, he should be getting the better of Cobolli here in conditions that should play more to his strengths than Cobolli's. But again, probably just a match to keep a watchful eye on, because I mean, you are taking a little bit on trust with Machac, aren't you? We don't know a huge amount. Obviously, he's here, so you'd hope he's fit. But end of season, I think a match to watch rather than me getting too involved in.
Just got a flag up one of the comments we just got from Ming Chung. It's a beaut. What is it? Vienna. This event means nothing to me.
Very good.
Fans of 80s pop music will know that's a lyric from Vienna by Ultravox. Yeah, thanks for that one, Ming. Let's go back to Vienna. It does mean something to these players. It certainly does. Alexei Popyrin against Matteo Berrettini. Berrettini, quite a heavy favourite, -157, Popyrin +128. But the Italian leads a head-to-head 2-1, although Popyrin won their last meeting in Paris. Conditions might be similar, probably a bit quicker in Paris because that's the indoor tournament. That's usually very quick. Berrettini fell to Humbert in Stockholm last week, and Popyrin fell at the first hurdle to Seb Korda. You can see their totals game set at 23.5. There was not going to be too many breaks to serve in this one, is there, Tim?
You wouldn't have thought so. I think Berrettini, I still think he's priced up a lot these days on previous successes rather than, I think, -157. I think you've got to be pretty brave to back him there against Popyrin, who probably was a little bit disappointed in his match with Korda there the other day, but that was his first match since the US Open, obviously first start of his indoor hardcourt swing as well. And a little bit like Humbert, we said earlier, I think Popyrin looks just a little bit too big there to me at +128. So yeah, again, it's just a little bit of a lean, but I'd be leaning towards Popyrin. I certainly wouldn't want to be backing Berrettini at -157, on which probably is only going to come down to a couple of points here or there, whether that be sort of at 5-all in a close contested 7-5 set, or even 6-all in a tiebreak. It wouldn't shock you at all. So yeah, -157 Berrettini looks a bit too short.
Daniel Medvedev, winner in Almaty at the weekend. He's up against Nuno Borges, the Portuguese. Medvedev is -$4, Borges +295. And the Russian leads the head-to-head 3-0. As I say, he won the tournament in Almaty, whereas Borges was a first-round casualty in Shanghai. So he missed last week, went down to Alex de Minaur. I'd see anything but a comfortable victory for Medvedev there. Tim?
Yeah, agreed. Even though he sort of played a slog winning that first title for a couple of years, he should be coming through here, didn't he? This is Borges' first indoor match. Obviously, another player coming from Shanghai. I think Medvedev be attuned to conditions. Even though he's had a tough season, this shouldn't prevent too many hurdles for him here. So, yeah, should be a comfortable victory for Medvedev. As speaking of comfortable, I think looking at the odds of that Yanks-Sinner game we just saw on the screen there, you'd like to think that's going to be a fairly comfortable one-sided affair. But Altmaier has caused him problems, I think, just jumping ahead to that match. So, yeah, I think -10,000. Sinner's going to win the game. But yeah, that's I mean, a 6-3, 6-3 win cashes the over at -129 might look a bit of value.
Yeah, I don't know. So back to Medvedev. Do you think, I was looking at Medvedev v Borges, the spread is 4.5 there. Medvedev -4.5 games at +110, I thought might be interesting. But Sinner Altmaier, that does look very, just looks a little bit big, doesn't it? I don't know. The spread is 6.5 games. Sinner -6.5 games +107. Altmaier +6.5 games -139. I mean,
yeah, I suppose it's going to kind of bet, 19, 18.5 or 6, take your chance really. But yeah, Altmaier's caused him a few problems, and obviously Sinner coming from that Six Kings stand where he did look fabulous, to be fair. I don't know if you saw any of it, Roy, but from what I saw, he played some incredible tennis, even though what is pretty much just a glorified exhibition.
Yeah, that's the thing. As you say, Altmaier won when they met at Roland Garros a couple of years ago. Sinner does lead the head-to-head 2-1, and he beat him in Shanghai earlier this month. Then he retired against Talon Griekspoor. Just thinking there might be a way to get with Altmaier here. 6.5 +6.5 games looks good, but the price of -139 is too short. But maybe the overs games, -108, over 18.5 might be of interest.
Like we said, a 6-3, 6-2 would cash that, wouldn't it?
That would cash the hang on. That would cash the under.
Sorry, yeah. So that's 18. So yeah, you need a 6-4, 6-3. Sorry, yeah.
Do you think? Yeah, he might be able to get that. Might be able to get that.
Sometimes it's a tricky one with those bets because a lot of it goes on serve. If Altmaier comes out and serves first, then all of a sudden that looks okay. But if Sinner's serving first, just the one break is a 6-3 set in Sinner's favour. So sometimes it's all about that coin toss can be all important. It's a little bit like when you have a 4.5 game handicap start, like we're talking about Medvedev there. That's just like you say, that coin toss can make all the difference, whether it being 6-3, 6-3, or 6-4, 6-3, for example. Then you just one break a serve, but it's the same bet, but you end up losing your money because you lost the coin toss.
Exactly. Yeah, that is the perils of the spread, betting on the handicap. So that's the men's matches tomorrow. We're going to look at a couple of women's matches. See a couple of requests for women's matches. I think one of them, someone was asking for Osorio against Anne Lee, and we're going to be looking at that. We're going to be looking at that now. That's it from D. Johnson. We're not looking at Schneider-Kalinskaya, though I do quite like Schneider, based on what she did in round one. Let's start at the bottom, because we did have a request for this one in Guangzhou. Camila Osorio against Anne Lee. And as Tim mentioned, quite close in this match. Big difference in the outright market. Lee's the joint favourite at $5. Osorio plus 118 to win this match. Lee minus 148. Spread 2.5 games. Totals 21.5. Osorio actually leads the head-to-head 2-1. And I thought she was pretty impressive in round one. She got the better of, well, she brushed aside Lucia Bronzetti at 6-1, 6-2. And, Osorio, we kind of think of her as a clay court or, slow hard courts, but, she can go well in quicker conditions. Anne Lee came through her round one match, 2 tight sets against Victoria Jimenez Kasintseva, the player from Andorra. Tim, obviously, this is part of your daily double. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I mean, I quite liked Osorio here. Like you said, she leads the head-to-head 2-1, and it's actually 2-0 on the hard courts, winning their last match just last month in Beijing in 3 tight sets. And she also leads the service points 1 and return points 1 totals in those hard court matches, 104.5 to 95.5. So it's a fairly good sort of ahead on the stats there. She looked good in her first match here, beating Bronzetti 6-1, 6-2. I think she won 80% of her first serve points there, and she actually won a massive 74% of points on her second serve. So, yeah, very impressive without even facing a break point in the match. Obviously, she played well there in Beijing, like we said, beating Lee and Kalinskaya before actually losing to Swiatek. So, sort of no disgrace there. Lee came through her first round. She actually did well to win it in straight sets, because I think she was 5-2 down in the second set, and actually managed to save 2 set points, having been 5-2 down, like we said. And I'm just going to check the spread there, because when I looked earlier, because the bet I liked was Osorio was plus 3.5, was plus 100s, but that game line there is plus 2.5 at minus 121. So I'm just going to see if we can move the toggle now and get it to 3.5 and see what it is. Yeah, that's a big move there. It's minus 152 now. So yeah, that was it's a big move. Yeah, when I looked at that was probably lunchtime about 5 hours ago. That was plus 100. So yeah, looks like we've half missed the boat there. So whether we want to switch to the 2.5 there at let me just check the price on that. Sorry,
minus 121. Osorio plus 2.5.
Yeah, we've got a game less and down a short price still. So yeah, let me just I want to stick with the bet I've decided, but the market's moved so strongly against us, or well, perhaps with us, but it's going to cut our winnings if there are going to be any on that. So
not tempted by the money line?
I tell you, yeah, I mean, total games won by her is minus 157, so that looks a bit short. So yeah, do you know what? I think we're gonna go with the money line now. We're gonna go with a plus 118 on the money line, because we've missed the price on the handicap there, and I still think that 2.5 is still a little bit short there. So I think we may as well just get with her on the money line, I think.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to.
Just a small way of looking at it as well. Perhaps I'd be having a little bit on the outright market as well, considering one was plus 500 and one was plus $14, I think. So
yeah,
I'd be getting with Osorio here. Anyway, a little bit frustrated to see the strong move, but hopefully that's smart money. And yeah, I'd probably be looking to get with on the outright market too. So yeah, we'll just take on the money line now. I think plus 118.
There we go. So that's one of the first part of the daily double. The other part is in Tokyo. And again, a little bit surprised at these odds. Victoria Mboko plus 118, Eva Lys minus 143. The spread's 2.5 games, totals 21.5. One previous meeting, which was in the French Open earlier this year, and Mboko won in straight sets. She was on a bit of a losing streak. Obviously, she had that amazing run winning in Montreal. Hadn't won a match since then until this tournament in Tokyo, where she beat Bianca Andreescu, her fellow Canadian, in straight sets. Eva Lys has been in good form of late. She beat Katie Bolter yesterday, and before that beat Victoria Golubic. So, Lys is in good form. She did have a good run in Beijing as well, where she beat Jelena Rybakina, and fell eventually to Coco Gauff, who went on to win the final, if memory serves. No, she went out in the semi-finals, beg your pardon. She went out in the semi-finals to Amanda Anisimova. But this is an interesting match because, if you from Montreal, see Mboko, she's a 1,000 winner, and you're getting plus money about her. And just looking at the comment from Jean Swart, good to see you again, Jean. This Mboko price is based on her poor form lately, but she looked great versus Andreescu. And she did have wrist trouble after Montreal. Fell to Barbara Krejcikova in round 1 of the US Open. She clearly wasn't right. Maybe she's fit again. Maybe it's the time to get with her, Tim.
Yeah, possibly. I did see her play against Jastrzębska there last week, and did think she might have been coming back to a bit of form. But yeah, like you said that she leads the head-to-head, just a 1-0 winning at Roland Garros earlier this year. But I think since the US Open, Lisa, I've been quite impressed with her. She's 8-2 with those only losses coming, like you said, to Clara Towson and Coco Gauff. And I think in those matches, she's also beating Kruger, Ivicovic, Rybakina, Kessler, amongst others. She's played 3 matches here already without dropping a set. She was very impressive against Katie Bolter, defeating her 6-2, 6-1, and she beat the inform Golubic as well, which I was quite impressed with. And like we said, in Mboko, she got her first win since winning the title in Montreal against Andreescu. Yeah. Obviously, she looked pretty good doing it, but I think Andreescu herself, she'd only won 1 of her previous 5 matches. So yeah, I'm not too sure. I think if you look at her service points won and return points won total since the US Open, and Mboko's is just 92, and Eva Lys is 107.4 in the 10 matches she's played. Obviously, yeah, we might have to worry about Mboko having that wrist problem, and is she over that? But I think there was a bit of a big move here for Lys as well. I think she's shortened up on the money line. I think this wasn't that far off a pick, and when the prices first came out with Bet Rivers, so I can see Mboko. Yes, she's coming back into form, but I think Andreescu is rather largely out of form, and I think Lys looks a bit more solid here to me. And the bet I wanted to go with was, I think we might have missed Lys on the money line, so I was going to take Eva Lys at minus 1.5 sets at plus 160, I think, with Bet Rivers. So essentially for her to win in straight sets. Again, I'm contradicting myself here. It wouldn't be the biggest shock in the world to me if Mboko is on her way back to form and raises her level. But I think on what I've seen since the US Open and with what I've seen with Lys, I just think she's the more player I'm more confident in here. So I'm going to take her to win this match in straight sets. I thought plus 160 was fair enough.
Okay, so we'll run through that daily double. We've got Camila Osorio on the money line against Anne Lee at plus 118. Eva Lys minus 1.5 sets against Victoria Mboko at plus 160. And the daily double pays plus 467. So good luck if you're getting involved with that. Before we go, let's just have a quick look at what's happening in play. And Ben Shelton needs a break up in the second set. He's on the comeback trail against Kamil Majchrzak. He's 3-1 up, but Majchrzak's about to hold serve for 2-3. Majchrzak is -132, Shelton +107. It's a tight one between Giron and Shapovalov. Still going with serve. Giron, he's got advantage at 5-all, serving for a 6-5 lead. Giron -104, Shapovalov -121. I don't know if Giron's just held serve. No,
Yeah,
not quite.
6-5 Giron, yeah.
It's 6-5, yeah. So Giron now -136, Shapovalov +110. And
What's in that match? Sorry to interrupt, Roy.
That's
but
right.
Giron took the first set in a tiebreak and then got bageled in the second set. Now it looks pretty much odds on that it's going to be a third set tiebreak. So yeah, a real strange match there.
Very odd. It's almost WTA movement and swings of momentum. One match in Vienna going on at the moment. Lorenzo Musetti's taken the first set against Hamad Medjedovic, and he's 1-love up in the second. Medjedovic is serving at deuce. Medjedovic $13 to win that. Musetti -$50. That one looks a foregone conclusion as far as the bookies are concerned. That's it from Betting Weekly Tennis Live. Tim, thanks for your company as always. We'll see you again next week. And thank you all for joining us. Thanks for all your comments. I was going to look actually at that Schneider Kalinskaya match. I thought that was a really interesting one. I think someone flagged that up. Schneider's -150, Kalinskaya +123. We mentioned that Schneider's quite good at this time of year. Kalinskaya, you just never know when she's going to go on a run. You know, she's reached 1,000 finals, and when she's in form, she's a pretty tough opponent. Maybe overs games could be the way to go on that one. But yeah, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon on Betting Weekly Tennis Live.